The Age of Chaucer, 1340 to 1400, refers to a period of English literary history that spans from the late 14th century to the early 15th century. This period is named after the poet Geoffrey Chaucer, who is widely regarded as one of the greatest English poets of all time. Chaucer lived during a time of significant political, social, and cultural change in England. He was born in the early 1340s, during the reign of King Edward III, and lived through the tumultuous reigns of Richard II and Henry IV. It was a time of social unrest, with the Peasants Revolt of 1381 and the 100 Years' War with France. Some of the most significant events during this period include the 100 Years' War, 1337 to 1453. This was a series of conflicts between England and France over control of the French throne and territory. The war had a significant impact on England's economy and society and contributed to social unrest and political instability. The Peasants' Revolt, 1381. This was a widespread uprising of peasants and workers across England, who were protesting against high taxes and other injustices. The revolt was ultimately suppressed, but it had a significant impact on English society and led to some reforms. The Black Death, 1347 to 1351. This was a devastating pandemic that killed up to one-third of England's population. The Black Death had a significant impact on the economy, society, and culture of England, contributing to labor shortages and changes in social attitudes. The rise of lollardy. This was a religious movement that emerged in England in the late 14th century, which emphasized the importance of personal faith and criticized the corruption of the church. Lollardy had a significant impact on English society and culture, contributing to religious reforms and the development of a more personal and individualistic spirituality. The reign of Richard II, 1377 to 1399. This was a period of political and social instability in England. This period was marked by conflicts between the king and his nobles, as well as tensions between different social classes. Richard II's reign ultimately ended in his deposition and the rise of the House of Lancaster. Some of the key literary features of this period include vernacular English. Before the Age of Chaucer, English literature was primarily written in Latin or French, languages that were reserved for the educated elite. However, with the growth of a middle class and the emergence of a vernacular English, writers began to experiment with writing in the English language. This led to the development of Middle English, a language that was much closer to the modern English we use today. Realism. Many writers of the Age of Chaucer, including Chaucer himself, were interested in depicting the lives and experiences of ordinary people. They used a realistic style of writing that focused on the details of everyday life and the struggles and joys of common people. Satire. Satire was a popular literary form in the Age of Chaucer. Writers used satire to criticize the corruption and hypocrisy of the church and the ruling class, as well as to comment on social and political issues of the day. Allegory. Allegory was another popular literary form in the Age of Chaucer. Writers used allegory to convey moral and spiritual truths through the use of symbolic characters and events. Romance. Romance was a popular literary genre in the Age of Chaucer, characterized by stories of chivalry, courtly love, and adventure. Writers used romance to explore themes of love, honor, and loyalty, and to comment on social and cultural ideals. The frame narrative. The frame narrative was a literary technique used by writers such as Chaucer in the Canterbury Tales. This involved setting a series of stories within a larger narrative frame, such as a pilgrimage, and using the frame to comment on the stories and their characters. Poetry. Poetry was the most important literary genre of the Age of Chaucer. Poets of this period wrote in a variety of styles, including allegory, romance, and satire. Some of the most famous poets of the period include Geoffrey Chaucer, William Langland, and John Gower. Some of the most important writers and their works from this period include Geoffrey Chaucer. Chaucer's most famous work is the Canterbury Tales, a collection of stories told by a group of pilgrims traveling to Canterbury. The tales cover a wide range of genres, from romance to satire, and are told in a variety of styles and voices. The characters in the tales represent a cross-section of medieval English society. It ranged from knights and nobles to tradesmen and peasants, and their stories offer insights into the values, beliefs, and concerns of the time. Other notable works by Chaucer include Troilus and Cressida, a long poem about a tragic love affair between the Trojan prince Troilus and the Greek princess Cressida. The Book of the Duchess, a poem about the death of a noblewoman. The House of Fame, a dream vision in which the narrator is transported to a celestial palace. Chaucer's writing is notable for its use of vivid imagery, its skillful characterization, and its use of humor and irony. He is also known for his mastery of the English language, and his works help to establish English as a literary language. William Langland. Langland is known for his long poem Piers Plowman, which is a complex allegory about the search for spiritual truth. The poem follows the character of Will as he searches for a true understanding of God and morality. John Gower. Gower was a poet who wrote in both English and French, and his most famous work is Confessio Amantis, a long poem in which a lover confesses his sins to a priest. The poem is notable for its use of stories from classical mythology and for its exploration of themes of love and morality. William Dunbar. Dunbar was a Scottish poet who wrote during the late 15th century. His most famous works include the treatise of the Trois Mariés Women and the Widow. It is a satirical poem about marriage. The Lament for the Macquaries, a poem in which the speaker mourns the passing of other poets. Thomas Malory. Malory is known for his compilation of Arthurian legends in La Morte d'Arthur, which tells the story of King Arthur, his knights, and the quest for the Holy Grail. The work has had a lasting impact on English literature and has inspired countless adaptations and retellings. Overall, the Age of Chaucer was a time of great literary creativity, and the works of these writers continue to be studied and appreciated by scholars and readers today.